Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video. And one of my other videos that I did, I made the mention about possibly doing a video where I told about how I became a brony. And so I decided, and a few people actually thought it sounded like a good idea, so here I am with my brony story, how I became a brony. Now, there are quite a few memories that I have of my time in the brony fandom. And so I'm not going to tell them all in this video. But if you like, what I can do is a series of videos after this one, possibly called Brony Memories. And it will be a follow-up to this video, and I'll be talking about different memories that I have during my time in the fandom. Now, believe it or not, I've actually been in the fandom longer than I actually thought of. I actually have been in this fandom longer than I thought I had been. It surprises me, but I'm really happy for that. I'm really honored. I've been in the fandom since 2011. Believe it or not, I believe since season 2, I believe episode 9 is whenever I became a brony. And, well, this is my brony story. How I became a brony, it's not a big fascinating story, but it started back in probably around 2010, maybe. I remember my mother making a mention that she had heard or seen somewhere that shows like My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, and such were coming to TV again. Were coming back to TV. Now, I grew up watching a lot of old cartoons and such back in, like, I grew up watching a lot of old TV shows that was recorded on VHS. Whenever I was little, there was a lot of old VHS tapes that I had that had a lot of TV shows recorded on them, and so I played these things. I played these old VHS tapes to death. But they had shows like My Little Pony. They had the first 2 My Little Pony films that came out in the 80s, recorded on VHS. I had that. Then I don't think there was any of the first My Little Pony series. I don't recall. There could have been, but I do remember My Little Pony Tales. I remember watching that growing up as well on these old VHS tapes. And I remember just watching that. And so that was my first perception. I thought, oh, okay, so they're bringing back these old shows. They're bringing back the old My Little Pony. And I thought, okay. And it was in 2011. And I remember my mom making a mention to me something about those shows. I don't remember how it came up, but I remember her saying that it wasn't the old shows, it was new shows. And so I thought, okay, so they didn't bring back the old shows, so there are brand new shows. Okay. So I remember I turned the TV on one day, and I remember My Little Pony Friendship is Magic just so happened to be on. And I remember the episode specifically. It was Look Before You Sleep. And I remember I had the TV on back then, the hub, and I remember watching the episode. Not the whole thing, but I remember watching, seeing Applejack and Rarity not getting along. And immediately the first thing that caught my attention about the show was the animation. And I really liked the animation right off the bat. I thought that the character designs were cute. I thought the animation was beautifully done. It was bright, it was vibrant, and yet it still had a very beautiful texture. It had a very calm nature. It didn't shout, "Hey, look at me," with the colors, but they were bright, yet they were still natural. They felt very soothing. And I remember I immediately liked the animation style, and also really liked the character designs. That was another thing that really caught my attention right off the bat, was the character designs. And and the characters look cute, especially where they had the big eyes that stared into your soul, and they had the little mouths, and they were just adorable. And immediately, another thing that caught my attention as well, watching the show, were the characters' personalities. And they weren't cardboard cutouts. They weren't stereotypical designs. They didn't have stereotypical personalities. And it's kind of funny because most people, people outside of the Brony community, whenever you mention My Little Pony, the first thing some people would have thought initially was a TV show where the characters are having sleepovers, they're having they're having tea parties and slumber parties. And it was ironic that the very episode that I was watching was Look Before You Sleep, where they are having a sleepover. But I remember, I thought it was really interesting, the dynamics between these characters, because here was Applejack, this southern country gal, and here's Rarity, this elegant, eccentric, this elegant, eccentric female, and here's Twilight, the geeky, nerdy bookworm. And Applejack and Rarity were not getting along because they had two completely different lifestyles. Applejack was the farm girl. She was used to getting down and dirty and working hard. Rarity was used to trying to keep things neat and tidy and organized. And so these two characters were clashing because of their two completely different lifestyles, but because of their two completely different ways of living. And here's Twilight, who adorably is completely oblivious to the whole thing. She's completely oblivious to the whole thing. And she's trying to make sure that her friends have a good time, but she doesn't even see that they're not getting along. And I liked how the dynamics with the characters were. Like, immediately they weren't just getting along. No, there was an actual conflict. There was a conflict between the characters. And the characters, my rug, there was an actual conflict between the characters. And I really liked that. And after watching for a few minutes and seeing all this play out, I remember thinking to myself, dude, you're watching My Little Pony. And so I thought, okay. So I changed the channel. I remember it was some nights later. And back then, they used to air My Little Pony at, I think it was about 5 or 6 and 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on the Hub back then. And they would air two episodes every evening, 5 and 5:30, or 6 and 6:30. I think it was 6 and 6:30. And I remember I had just sat down to eat dinner one day, and there was nothing on TV except for My Little Pony. And I thought, okay, there's nothing else on. I'll watch an episode and see what I think of it. I'll see if it's good. And so I watched the episode. I don't remember what the episode was, but I know I watched it, and I thought, and I remember thinking, okay, it wasn't that bad. It was actually quite good. And so I said, I'll watch the next episode and see if it was as good as this one. Maybe this is just one good episode. I watched it, and again, I had to admit, it wasn't bad. And so it kind of became a bit of a ritual for me. Like, every evening, I memorized what time the show would be on, so that I made sure that I could be able to watch it. And another day passed, I watched 2 more episodes. Another day passed, I watched 2 more episodes. And I just kept watching the show. And I realized one evening, I thought, I'm watching My Little Pony. And I remember thinking to myself, I will go in my grave before I ever admit I'm doing this. I will take this to my grave. Here I am with a YouTube channel right now, telling you this, and have been openly now for the past few years. But I remember thinking, Nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever freaking know. And I advanced into what I refer to as the next stage of being a fan. In that I started looking up information about the show. I started looking up bios of the characters, their personalities. I started reading about the characters, about the creators of the show, about the world, the lore, the world building, the lore around it, and it didn't take me long at all. I found out about bronies. I found out about the brony community and about how there were bronies, like people outside of that demographic. And immediately, I did not think that this was weird. No, right off the bat, I thought it was cool that this show was so good that it transcended the original intended demographic to reach a much broader audience, and that there were people of both genders, male and female, ranging from their teens to their 50s and 60s and up, that were watching this show, that were loving it. And I thought it was extraordinary that the show had been so, that the writing for the show was so good, that the characters were so well done, that this show had reached a much broader demographic. And you had people that was challenging. You had people that were challenging the gender boundary here. Like, here you had a show that was supposedly for little girls, and you had both older females and males that were loving the show and were openly saying, "I love this show. I like it. I'm a fan. I'm not ashamed." And I thought it was really, really cool. And so, but I said I wasn't a brony at the time. And again, I quickly discovered the concept of a closet brony, someone who is a brony, but they don't want to admit it. But they are a brony in secret. They are not admitting to everyone else that they are. And so I watched a few more episodes, and I kept reading about the show, and I started watching. I quickly evolved into the next stage of being a fan, which is viewing fan art, viewing PMVs or AMVs on YouTube, and then reading fan fiction. And I started reading fan fiction. I started viewing fan art, and again, I remember thinking, I'm not a brony. And I started seeing all this about military bronies as well. And I started finding out about people within the brony community, the artwork, the fan dub actors, the fan voice actors, and I started seeing people on YouTube doing reviews and analysis on the show, and like people doing voice work for like comics and things like that. And I thought, okay, this is really amazing. This is really cool. But again, I was still a closet brony. And I said, and again, I said, I will take this to my grave. Nobody will ever know. I will go to my grave and nobody will ever know that I watched this show. And I kept reading fan art, and I read about and saw fan art for some of the more notorious fan fictions before I ever even read them. Fallout Equestria, Cupcakes, Rainbow Factory, and I saw fan art for these, before I ever even read the stories. And so, although for me, I first found out about Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory, and so Fallout Equestria came quite a bit later, but still, I found out about these amazing fan fictions before I ever even read them, through fan art and through music and other fan fictions. And so I remember then I found out, by this point I had developed much further, I had delved much deeper into the fandom. And I was still a closet brony at the time. And I discovered fan art of other characters like Derpy, Vinyl, Octavia. And I remember I found out that I checked the programming, and found out that a new episode was going to be on that coming Saturday. And so I said, I'm going to watch it. And I remember the episode was, I believe it was episode 9 of season 2. It was Sweet and Elite. And I remember watching the episode. It was the first brand new episode that Saturday. It was brand new. Now remember, this is 2011, man. This is season 2, episode 9. This is how long I have been in this fandom. I have been in this fandom of quite a long time. And I remember watching the episode. And after the episode was over, I remember I had the Pony Every Pony Should Know stuck in my head for like a freaking week. And I had that song just stuck in my head. And I remember after the episode was over, the moment that I think really did it for me was during the segment whenever it was at the party, and it was revealed that Twilight and the rest of the main 6 were Rarity's friends. And it was in that brief moment that Rarity had to choose either the elegant group of ponies or her friends. And you see that moment whenever Rarity starts towards the other high society ponies, and you hear that music. At that point, you hear that like 1 second of music as you see Twilight's face change from joy to sadness. Like, oh my gosh, is she really choosing them over us? I think at that moment that's what really sold it for me. That particular moment right there. And then Rarity stood up for her friends. And I remember after the episode was over, whenever the credits began to roll, I remember just leaning back in my chair, and I said, okay, I admit it, I am a brony. I am no longer a closet brony. I am a brony. I admit it, I am a brony. And that's how I became a brony. And I have been a part of this fandom since then. I think the episode aired in December, Sweet and Elite. I have been a part of this community since then. I have been a brony since 2011, Season 2, Episode 9, I believe it was. That's Sweet and Elite is the episode that made me be a brony. I was already a closet brony before then, and it started with Look Before You Sleep, which was a rerun. But I remember, yeah, Sweet and Elite is what made me a brony. And I've been a part of this community since. And actually, did I know, like, I didn't think I joined till like 2012 or something, but no, it was actually 2011. And so I've been a part of this community much longer than I thought I'd been. But I'm happy. I'm really honored. It's so cool, honestly. Like, it's just mind-blowing for me to look back and think, dude, you've been a part of this for like 6 years. Like, you've been a part of this for the majority of the fandom's run, of the fandom's history. You've been here since almost the beginning. I wasn't there whenever the community started, whenever the community was founded. But I have been here since, for a large portion of it. And I don't consider myself a veteran in the brony community. I don't consider myself a veteran brony. It would be cool to be considered that, but I don't feel that I have the right to consider myself that. I don't feel that I have the right. But again, it's just mind-blowing that I've been a part of this community since 2011, and so early in season 2, before season 2 was even halfway over, I have been a part of this fandom. And I've seen a lot, I've read a lot, I've heard a lot. It's so cool. And again, like I said, I am thinking of doing some follow-up videos titled Brony Memories, talking about different individual things that I have experienced in the 6 years that I have been a member of this community. So if you guys really want me to do that, please let me know in the comments, and I will certainly do it, because there's quite a few memories that I have, and so it would be fun. It would really be fun to share that with you guys. And of course, some memories would be, some videos would be longer than others. But again, I think it'd be cool because every single memory would give every single one of you an opportunity to discuss, like, things that you remember as well about your time and specific memories that you have, or during certain events, like what you did, what you thought during that time. But again, that is my Brony story. I have been a Brony since, I think, December 2011, since Sweet and Elite, Episode 9, Season 2. And I'm very happy. And here it is. It is September 20th, September 20th, 2017. And I have been here that long. And I'm still a Brony. I'm definitely more of a Brony now than I was, whenever I first joined the fandom. And me being a Brony has not declined over the years. I'm still every bit of a Brony. I'm still every bit as much a Brony as I was last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. I'm still what I consider a hardcore Brony. And I love it. I love it. I love being part of this community. I love being part of this fandom. It's like, over the time that I have been here, it's been such an honor. So it's been so cool to see the fandom grow, to see the massive amount of creativity that has spawned from the fandom, with so much fan fiction, fan art, music, just many different projects that people have done. It's incredible, and I am so honored to have been part of such a creative community, and I love it. And I really hope there's more. I really hope there's a lot more on the way as well. But again, 2011, man. I've been here a while, quite a while, and again, I love it, and it's so cool. And I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here, and I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not going anywhere. But again, that is how I became a Brony. Just overheard that the show was coming back, thought it was the old show, wasn't, and was pleasantly surprised by the ingenuity, by the creativity that the new show brought. And many of the same things that attracted many of you to the show is what attracted me. The character designs were adorable. The character personalities were solid and very much relatable. We could relate to every single character in many different ways. The music was great, and then the stories were solid. I mean, it wasn't just the characters having tea parties and things like that. I mean, it was good, solid stories, and it pulled me in, and it has kept me a part of the fandom ever since. And again, it's been such an honor and such a pleasure to be a part of this community, to see it come so far in the years that it has. And again, I'm here for the long haul. I'm not going anywhere. But again, that is my Brony story. That is how I became a Brony. And so again, hope you guys enjoyed. And again, if you want to share your stories, please feel free to type out in the comments below, or heck, do a video as well. I'd be very happy to watch it as well. Just link it in the comments below, your Brony story, how you became a Brony. I would really love to hear it. So again, that is how I became a Brony. And again, if you have anything to say in regard to that, please feel free to do so in the comments, or if you want to make a video, please feel free to do so. But again, thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.